Hi guys, welcome back to Chess Openings. This is part 3 of openings for white, the Queen's Gambit. One of the most respected and battle-tested openings in the whole game, a staple at every world championship. And let me bust a myth right now, this is not really a gambit. White always gets the pawn back. It is just pure, powerful, positional chess. Let's dive in. We open with the Queen's pawn, staking a claim in the center. Black mirrors us. And now the move that defines the whole opening. c4, the Queen's Gambit. We offer the c-pawn, not to sacrifice it, but to drag Black's d-pawn away and seize total control of the center. Black has 4 main replies. Road 1, grab the pawn, the Queen's Gambit accepted. Road 2, decline and prop up the center with e6, the classical Queen's Gambit declined. Road 3, the rock-solid Slav with c6. And road 4, the cheeky marshal, the knight jumps to f6, trying to win the pawn a different way. We'll punish all 4. Let's start with the accepted. Road 1, Black takes the pawn. Black grabs the pawn. Now watch how we win it right back, and get a dream center doing it. First, e4. We slam a second pawn into the center, building a huge, dominating duo. Black tries to cling to the extra pawn with b5, defending c4. But we undermine it instantly. a4, hitting that b5 pawn. Black props it up with c6. We take on b5. He recaptures, and the a-file rips wide open. Knight c3, piling straight onto that weak b5 pawn. Black scrambles to defend it with the queen. And now the key blow, b3, cracking open the c4 pawn as well. Black simply cannot hold on to all of this loot. Black finally develops e6. And we take the pawn back. The gambit pawn is officially recovered. Black pins our knight with the bishop. We calmly break the pin, bishop to d2. Black grabs back on c4. And we recapture. Feast your eyes, the pawn is back, a monster center, and every piece pouring out. The engine gives white a small but pleasant pull, and this is exactly the kind of easy, comfortable game the Queen's Gambit is all about. From here Black should just tuck the knight into e7 and accept a slightly worse but playable game. But watch what happens if he gets greedy and grabs our d4 pawn with the queen. Queen takes d4, snatching the pawn. Queen a4, check. And it's a fork. It checks the king and wins the loose bishop on b4. White wins a whole piece, completely by force. That is the lesson of the Queen's Gambit, grab greedily, and it comes back to bite you. Alright, rewind to move 2. We've handled the accepted. Cross it off. Now the classical way to decline, e6. Support the center with the e-pawn. e6, the Queen's Gambit declined. Super solid. Black keeps the tension and holds the center. Knight c3, adding pressure to d5. Knight f6, developing and defending. Bishop g5, pinning the f6 knight and leaning on d5. White has a comfortable space edge and the easier game. The decline is rock solid, but white is just more comfortable, and the engine agrees, a small pull for white. Back to move 2 one more time. Accepted, done. Declined, done. 2 roads left. Next up, the rock-solid Slav, with c6. c6, the Slav. Black supports d5 with the c-pawn instead, keeping the light-squared bishop free to breathe. Knight f3, calm development. Knight f6. Knight c3. The Slav is famously tough to crack, but white keeps a small, pleasant pull and the more comfortable position. Solid stuff for both sides. But there's a razor-sharp sideline you have to know. Rewind to move 3. Instead of the knight, Black often develops the bishop out to f5. The idea looks clever. Black gets the light-squared bishop outside the pawn chain before playing e6, so it never gets buried behind its own pawns. But it has a hidden flaw. We strike it once. We take on d5. And Black recaptures with the pawn. And here it is, queen to b3. A genius move. It hammers straight into the weak b7 pawn, and with the bishop already gone from c8, there's no comfortable way for black to defend it. The only real way to hang on is to swing the queen over to d7, guarding b7 along the 7th rank. So the queen comes to d7. Black is holding on, for now. Now the brilliancy, e4. A stunning pawn thrust, attacking the bishop on f5. Turn it down and the center caves in, so the bishop snaps it up. The bishop grabs the free pawn. But now it's stranded in the middle of the board. Knight to e5, with tempo. It leaps into the center and attacks the queen on d7. The queen scurries back to c8, and cleverly, from there it still keeps an eye on b7. We keep developing and piling in. Knight c3, hitting that stranded bishop on e4 again. Black props the bishop up with the knight. And if the bishop retreats instead, that weak pawn on d5 just drops off, so this is forced. So we take the bishop. Now black has to recapture, but how matters enormously. Now, black would love to just grab the knight back with the d-pawn. But watch why he can't. The instant that pawn leaves d5, the queen comes crashing down the diagonal onto f7. And the knight on e5 is guarding f7 as well, so the king can't even take the queen. It's check, and it's completely winning. So the d-pawn simply cannot capture. Which means black is forced to recapture with the knight. The knight takes back. But we don't recapture yet. First, an in-between move, bishop to b5, check. Black has to answer this before anything else. The knight has to block. And now the queen takes on d5. Just look at how dangerous this is for black. The queen on d5 and the knight on e5 are both smashing into f7, the bishop on b5 pins the knight on c6 to the king, and black's king is stranded in the center with pieces raining down. The engine deems the position winning for white, an advantage of around +4. That is how you punish the bishop to f5 Slav. Back to the fort one final time. The accepted, the declined, and the Slav are all done. That leaves road 4, the cheeky marshal, the greedy knight to f6. Knight f6. We just take on d5. And now black recaptures two different ways. With the knight. Or with the queen. The knight first. Knight takes. e4, kicking the knight with tempo and building the center. The knight retreats. e5, kicking it again and grabbing a massive space advantage. Back it goes. Knight c3, hitting it a third time. Look at those two huge central pawns squashing black's whole position. White is clearly better. The greedy knight just handed us a dream. And the queen recapture is no better. Queen takes d5. Queen takes. Knight c3, hitting the queen with tempo. The queen scurries all the way home, having wasted precious moves. And we build the big center with e4. White has a huge lead in development and space for nothing. Bringing the queen out early is just a gift. And that's the Queen's Gambit, Part 3. The accepted, the declined, the Slav, and the greedy marshal you'll now punish on sight. It's sound, it's strategic, it's a world championship weapon, and remember, it's not a real gambit, you always get that pawn back. If you enjoyed this, smash the like button and subscribe for Part 4 of openings for White. See you next time.